All right. Hey guys, this is Marcia here with another episode of the LadyStrong Virtual Workouts. And today I have on here is no stranger at all, Caitlin Daly Cruz. She's actually was a member of LSF for, I would say, about 2 years.
Yeah, at least.
Yeah, 2 years. So we have her on here. Caitlin, I just want you to let the audience who does not know about you a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. So first of all, thanks for having me on
You
here. I'm
bet.
always happy to give back to you guys. It's good to be an alumni of that place. I'm a licensed clinical therapist, and mostly I work with people who are suffering from depression and anxiety. Um, I work a lot with millennial age people because I'm a millennial, so that just makes a lot more sense to me because I kind of understand more about what we're going through. And I like to take a really practical approach to wellness, whether that's fitness, nutrition, or mental health, because
Mhm.
I have a really hard time when things are hard. I don't want to do it, which is like a really unhelpful pattern to have, right?
Sure.
So for me, I'm more like, I would rather it be super practical, super easy to follow, because then you can build upon that motivation. So I try to kind of do that across the board for wellness.
Awesome. Good to know. So, with that being said, some of the topics that I believe that you've gathered together is a list of some practical things that they can be doing while at home during the COVID-19. And I would like for you to share some of those with us today with the audience as to what your recommendations would be during a hardship time like this today.
Yeah, so in preparation, like you said, I just came up with 6 things. I think they're super easy to implement. They might evoke some emotion, but again, like
Mm.
super practical. Do you want me to just start kind of going through them?
Yeah. We can just start from there. And if I have questions,
Yeah.
I'll kind of add to it as we go along.
Okay, that sounds great. Okay, so the first one is going to be kind of obvious, but number one is just limit your news and your coronavirus information intake.
Mm.
So it's super easy to get kind of wrapped up in dialogue, whether that's in Facebook groups, actual news sources, listening to like briefings and things like that on the news. Regardless of if it's reputable or not, we don't need all of that in our head all the time. So
Hmm.
I've been encouraging people to really just limit it to like 15 minutes to like half an hour a day,
Sure.
because mostly in that time you're going to get the updates that you need, right? Like you're going
Right.
to get like, is there any new executive orders out? Is there any new precautions I need to take? And really, like, we could spend all of our days thinking about what could happen or how long this
Hmm.
could be, and we really
Hmm.
just need to take it like one day or 1 week at a time, instead of like, oh my gosh, like, will this be over by Christmas? That's incredibly I don't care how true it is, it's really unhelpful right now to
Right.
take all that in.
For sure. I agree with you. Very cool.
Yeah. So then number two is also pretty simple, but a little bit more difficult in application. So number two would just be to identify a general schedule and stick to it. Um, I actually think it's a lot more helpful to try to do that the night before. So if there's things that you know you need to get done, just write those out in a schedule. And when I say general schedule, I don't mean hour by hour. I just mean
Hmm.
like, okay, in the morning, I want to make sure I get a workout in.
Hmm.
Sometime in the afternoon, I need to help my kids with their homework. Sometime
Hmm.
at night, I want to be able to have some quiet time or some meditation or something like that. Because when you go into the day and you don't know what you're going to expect, our anxiety levels just increase. And everyone's
Sure.
anxiety levels are pretty high right now. So we just want to try to mitigate that as much as possible. It doesn't have to be
Sure.
super rigid, but just identify some sort of a plan for yourself for the day.
Got it. So have some sort of routine.
Yeah,
Love
exactly.
it. Cool.
Well, and then the third one, kind of going off of that, is to try to stick to your regular eating schedule as much as possible. So I keep seeing all these posts on social media about like quarantine snacks and all that. And that's awesome. Like, don't get me wrong, like no judgment there, but that's also a really slippery slope to all of a sudden gain like 15 pounds in 1 week.
Yeah,
And even aside from the weight loss, like our nutrition it totally affects how we feel emotionally,
for
right?
sure.
So if
I
I'm
agree.
loaded up on carbs and sugar, I'm not going to feel great and my energy is going to be lower. And we really need to try as much as possible to keep things pretty status quo for ourselves.
Very cool. I like that a lot because I've been seeing, for example, a lot of our ladies have been putting in the Facebook group page of what it's going to be like after social or after the quarantine is over and socializing. And they have like the babies with the big fat bellies. And it's
Yeah.
like,
Uh-huh.
I totally get it, but it's like, is it true or is it not true? So I'm glad
Right.
that you brought that up.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I'll talk a little bit in like a couple minutes here just about like that compassion. Like it's okay, right, to have some Oreos if you need to, but like maybe not the whole row or like the
Yeah,
whole container. Like that's not
sure.
helpful for you. So The fourth one I would encourage people to do is just get outside. So whether that's in the form of a walk, walking your dog, even just like sitting outside. Like if you don't have a yard, that's fine. Just like stand outside your front door for a couple minutes. This kind of a social distancing thing does not mean that you're not allowed to go outside. It doesn't
Mhm.
mean it's not safe to do that. We just want to stay away from big crowds of people.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, we can just kind of completely turn inward and increase our isolation overall, which can increase our depression. So
Mhm.
lots of studies out there showing that sunshine and vitamin D is really good for our mood. And so
Mhm.
especially on like the next upcoming days, it's going to be pretty nice outside. Even if it's not super sunny, just go outside for a couple minutes and give yourself a break. Um, and kind of on that same vein, if you are someone who is used to working straight through the day in an office or even at home, you might need to take more breaks than you're used to. Like it's
Mhm.
okay to have to take a break every hour and just get up and move, because the normal activity level that you're getting day to day in the office, you're not getting at home. There's not enough
Yeah.
space. I don't care how big your
Yeah.
house is, you're not getting enough activity
For
just by
sure.
sitting in one place.
I agree. You know what's really cool I wanted to bring up is that a lot of the pinpoints that you're talking about we're actually doing. So we came up
Awesome.
with a virtual bingo just to hold the ladies accountable. And one of
Yeah,
those bingo squares include going for a walk with your kids or your dog, right?
I love
Or
that.
taking a picture of your meal prep to make sure you're staying on track. So it's nice to know that a lot of the points that you're hitting on is kind of the things that we're being very proactive on right
Yeah.
now.
No, that's great. And I actually, even just this next one, I think you guys are doing a really good job of too, which is just to socialize, right? Like, so
Yeah. Hmm.
socialization looks a lot different right now. And a lot of people are talking about feeling lonely, right?
Hmm.
And so there's this difference between um, kind of feeling lonely and being alone. So being
Hmm.
alone is like, I mean, both of them kind of suck, quite
Hmm.
honestly. Like it's not great to just be all by yourself. I don't care how much of a homebody you are and how much of an introvert you are. Like we need people. We're social
Hmm.
beings, right? So our socialization has to look at a little bit different. And so like even just the group that you guys have on Facebook is so awesome for the ladies to be able to connect in there. This podcast is great because you're just like talking to people, right?
Sure.
Instead of them just reading something on a page. So things like virtual hangouts, if there's a group, I know you guys are doing this too, right? So like the people that were like in the breakfast club working out, like they're still working out, like keep on
Oh yeah.
going to those groups that you're used to. That's
Yeah.
so important because we want to start to, even if we can't have people right next to us, we want to start to challenge some of those thoughts of like, I'm alone. And that's what
Hmm.
leads to that feeling of loneliness, is those really
Sure.
negative thoughts of I don't have anybody, because we do. It just
Yeah.
kind of stinks right now.
Yeah. I agree. Very cool.
Mhm.
All right.
And then
What
this
step are we on? Oh, go ahead.
Oh,
Sorry.
sorry. We're on the final one. So I'll just really quick. So it's like number one, limit your news and coronavirus intake. Number two, identify a general plan. Number three, stick to your general eating schedule. Number four, get outside. Number five, socialize. And then number six is honestly the most important one of all. And it's to have a ton of compassion for yourself.
I like
Things
that.
are so crazy right now. Like people have had to completely upend and change around their schedules, their routines, their entire lives overnight, right? People are losing jobs, people are having to stay home, people aren't able to go and see the people that they were able to before. Things are really crazy right now. And
Yeah.
so all of these tips and skills are super helpful, but like above all, like we need to kind of loosen the reins on our rigidity, right? And our
Hmm.
expectations.
Sure.
So, for example, like I do therapy from home now because that's what we need to do. And like my dog Ronnie loves to make appearances in my videos and he's constantly barking in the background. And at any other time, I would be like, oh my gosh, like this is so bad. But now it's like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, this is what
Yeah.
it's like to be at home.
Right. Exactly.
And I'm sure you guys have to deal with some of that kind of stuff too, because things are really different. We have to be able to laugh at ourselves. Like that is going to be so important in this. I mean, you can't really tell because my hair blends a little bit, but like my roots are super grown out. Like things are just like, ugh,
Trust
like
me, I
it's,
feel you. Yeah, I feel the same way. It's funny. Before you mentioned the whole dog thing, I was really, oh, see, I was
there we
worried that the
go.
dog, yeah, I was worried that the dog would start barking in the background. And
Yep.
like you said, there's really nothing you can do about it, but just let her bark.
Yeah.
So, it is what it is. It's like you can't really, force or we have no control over any of these things
No.
at all.
Right.
All you can do is just, it's how you deal with them. So, and I
Exactly.
think
Yeah.
right now, I think for the most part, Brittany and I, we're coping. We haven't divorced each other yet, even though
There
we're
you
not even
go.
married. So
That's important. Just
yeah,
even the
right.
bare minimum is okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So, there's one thing too, Caitlin, I want to mention, I failed to mention, is that we are going to have you back you're going to be a part
Yeah.
of our stress reliever COVID-19 package. So we don't want to give out too much details, but ladies, this is something that you have the opportunity of working with Caitlin on probably a bi-weekly basis. So we're really excited to be able to bring you back and to share your knowledge and the experience that
Awesome.
you have amongst your clientele as well. So I'm super thankful to be able to have you on here today. And is there anything else that you want to add before we kind of release this episode here, or any last final words or say or recommendations you may have?
Yeah, I would just say, even just kind of as wrapping up, is that like having compassion for yourself during this time doesn't mean that you should give yourself permission to just check out, right?
Mm,
It's okay to turn off from the world sometimes if you're overwhelmed, but please don't give yourself permission to just completely be done, right? So
mhm.
whether we're kind of like laughing and joking about Oreos, like that's funny, right? But also like don't give yourself permission to just like stop living. And it is so easy to do that. So I have like no judgment at all for people who are struggling with this, but please don't give yourself permission to totally check out from your life.
Don't check out, ladies. I love it. Yes. That was cool. That was like a mic drop right there. So,
Good.
yeah. Thank you so much, Caitlin, for coming on to the Late Strong Virtual Podcast. With that being said, ladies, thank you for tuning in, and we'll catch you on the next episode. Take care. Bye.
Thank you.
All right, I'm hit stop.